Alright, so yeah, you saw in the first video, we have kind of talked about it as well. We have 3 different versions of ARK. So we have the base version, we have the Explorers Edition, which gives you the Season Pass, which will just give you the expansion packs that we're going to do. We have 1 out already, which is Scorched Earth, and then we have 2 more that'll be coming. One will be coming before the end of this year, and then the other one will be out before the end of next year. So we'll have those out. And then the Collector's Edition, of course, the Limited Collector's Edition. Have to keep that limited in there. That has everything pretty much you would want. So it has the leather-bound dossier book, which, I mean, it's something you can put on your coffee table. It looks that nice, and I probably will once I get mine. So you have the leather-bound dossier book. You have the ARK necklace. You have the map, the cloth map, which is really cool as well. And then you also have, which I know a lot of people have been asking for, is the soundtrack to the game, which is done by Gareth Coker. And then the second video, of course, is our as I explained, is our Ragnarok map. It's already like extremely popular online. 1, because of the Griffin, 2, because of the extreme create. Like the map is just amazing. And he's going to do a little bit of flying around in this, so you guys can kind of see what it looks like and kind of a little bit of a playable demo there. So the other things that we're really excited to announce is Xbox One X, also known as Scorpio, better known as Scorpio.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we will be launching day 1 with ARK on Xbox One X. It will be in 60 frames per second, and it will be in epic settings. So it'll be the first time on console that they're getting that type of frame rate with that type of graphical capabilities.
What about the PS4 Pro? Are you guys doing something with that?
Oh, it's already out on the PS4 Pro, and it looks that currently right now without the Xbox One X being out, it looks the best on the PS4 Pro. It looks pretty good.
Better than PC?
PC Master Race, come on.
Thank you.
What kind of specs do you have in this machine? It's only like 38 frames.
It's actually a Titan X, but it only has.
It's the processor and the RAM are pretty outdated.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's nothing up to today's standards, I would say.
Yeah.
The graphics card's literally the only thing holding it together.
And take that frame rate down. Look, you're supposed to act like this runs at 60. I don't know the difference. This is 60 actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what you saw on the corner there.
I expected at like 120.
Yeah,
okay, like what is this, like 40?
Yeah, what is this?
What is this subpar stuff? So Xbox One X, we're really excited about that. The other addition is that if you already own it on Xbox One, you don't have to buy it again. So you will get it on Xbox One X. And then the other cool 2 things about it. One is crossplay. So if you have it on Xbox One X, you'll be able to have it on Windows 10. So you can play it on Windows 10, you can play it on Xbox One X, wherever you want to play it. The beautiful thing about that as well is now you're going to merge in the PC players and Xbox One X players into one server. And the other cool thing is that you will now be able to host Xbox servers from your PC, which is cool because right now, in order to host an Xbox server, you have to have a spare Xbox.
Yeah.
But you will be able to host an Xbox server from your PC, which I think it'll open the doors for a lot of console players to have these custom environments and custom, because that's really what a lot of players like to do. They like to get on and get on custom servers or have increased tame rates or things like that. So Xbox players will be able to do a little bit. I'm not exactly sure if that transfers over to PS4 or what will happen with that. So I'll see if I can find out anything on that.
Now, Sony's just being a dick about crossplay.
Yeah, they're like,
they are being really weird about it.
Crossplay.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool. I think it'll be cool to see those console players, Xbox players, married in with the PC players, and then on top of that, they'll be able to kind of start up servers that go on console, which I think will open up a lot of doors for console players at the moment. So those are our really cool announcements that we've announced at E3. So I'll open the door up to you guys for like questions or anything you want to talk about as you watch him fly around on this really cool map. Other cool things about this map is there's a lot of, you see that tornado, or not tornado. Why have you added tornadoes?
Yeah, you should.
The volcanoes going off here, and that actually causes damage. So if you get hit by one of those projectiles, you're going to be in some trouble. And then you have geysers going off. So this doesn't happen all the time. I should add that. It happens upon random intervals, and if you host your own server, you'll be able to change those intervals and tweak those how often you want it to go off or not. So I feel like this in this map, that is something different from this map than we have in different, like the center or the island. There isn't a lot of dynamic things happening in the map. So I feel like they did a really good job at trying to create some of that, you know, some things that are alive. You know, you're on this and it feels like it's alive, and just overall, I think the map looks amazing, and it's a lot different than, say, the center, another DLC that we released for free. I feel like that one was more fantasy based because you have a floating island in the middle, and you just have a lot of things that aren't necessarily real life, but they look cool. This feels like real life. I don't think they really took any liberties in creating things that wouldn't seem natural. For the most part, everything on this map seems natural. And it feels like a real live living place that you would visit. So it's a lot different than the maps that we have now, which I really like about that. But yeah, I'll open the floor to you guys for questions and anything else you want to talk about.
The game is still in early access, right?
Yes, up until the 8th.
Okay.
And the 8th, we're not early access anymore, and that's when the real fun begins.
So how do you guys feel about that? Like I said before, like you guys are like the first major survival game coming out aside from, what was it, Minecraft and Don't Starve Together?
Yeah.
Like how do you guys feel about that?
Oh man, it's two parts. So one, you feel like a huge weight is being lifted off your shoulder, but on the second part, you feel like a huge weight is being put on your shoulder because you have to get ready for shipping. And that process of finalizing a game and getting it disc ready, you know, for what they call Gold Master, or getting it ready for the disc, it's very stressful. You know, I'm not having, this is the studio's first, you know, major release. So I don't think this is the first time we've all went through it. So I think it's really stressful to make sure that you try to include as much as you can into that disc version for the people that, you know, are never going to get on the internet and update the game. But like I told you, if you, you know, if you don't have the internet, you have bigger worries. So you shouldn't be worried about the game. You should be worried about getting the internet. I'm joking, but yeah. So it's really stressful at the same time. But there is such a. It's hard to describe the feeling in the office, especially for people that, you know, were around a lot longer than I was. I came on probably about 1.5 years ago. And so if we think about people like Jesse or Jeremy, the directors of this game, and they literally started this in like a basement, it's hard to describe the feeling I see on their faces of getting their baby and actually shipping this out. And not only just going live with it, but to have physical, tangible copies. It's really huge for an early access game. A lot of the early access games that come out now don't have those physical copies. And you know, Jesse and Jeremy were very particular about wanting physical copies and having something you could have in your hand, having something tangible. They were really particular about that. So I think everyone is excited, but at the same time, everyone is, you know, on pins and needles because we know that this, you know, this is creating the foundation for what will be ARK in the future, or, you know, for things that we do in the future. We want to put a good foot forward and make sure that everything that you put in the game, you get as much optimization as you can in, get as much polish as you can in, and you know, really put a good representation out of what we want to stand for as a studio. So as much as it is a huge weight lifted and we're all just like, you know, so happy to be marching towards that end date, it's a lot of pressure on it as well because we really want this to go well and we really want it to be a success. So it's a really rewarding feeling, but again, it's
already a success.
What'd you say?
I said it's already a success.
It is. You know, yes, it is. I'm not going to be modest about it. It is.
No,
you can't really debate. It has been a success, but you know, a lot of this, you know, this isn't the only thing I think the studio wants to do. Of course, you know, we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. Yes, exactly.
You've got 2 modes that you shelved, right?
Yes. So we had Primal Survival, and then we had Sodif that we kind of like. Just kind of survival of the fittest, I should say, for people that don't know. So yeah, it's. I think with survival of the fittest, we realized that just wasn't any of our expertise. That game mode, being able to develop that game mode. So it's 2 things. One, we didn't feel like we had the expertise. We don't really do those battle games very well. I mean, that's just not our expertise or any of the director's expertise. And then second, what it was doing is it was taking core developers off of the main game, which we didn't want to do. In the beginning it was fine because it didn't really require a lot of resources, but as we put it out and more people start playing, and it just became a huge sink of time. So we figured, hey, let's just finish this game, and then let's see what happens afterwards. If we still have bandwidth and people still want it, let's look at it afterwards, and let's see what we can do afterwards. And it seems like Primal Survival was one that people really wanted. Like really wanted it. I hear about that literally every day. Like, where's Primal Survival? I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So yeah, it's really rewarding, and those are things that we'll end up looking at again and seeing if there's a market for it and if we have the expertise for it. And this isn't. I've been saying to everyone, a lot of people look at 8.8 as like, oh, ARK is done after that. No, it's just beginning. We'll still have 2 more expansions to come out that are around the same size as Scorched Earth, which is a lot of content.
Yeah.
And we'll still be doing patches like we do today. There'll still be patches going forward. This isn't the end of the game or end of the updates. This is us just saying that, hey, we reached a point to where the content that we wanted in the game and the functionality that we wanted in the game, it's there. So let's hit the finish line, and then after that we can see what we add on to it, because we can keep going for years and keep adding dinos and things like that.
Yeah.
We're at over 100 now, and I think we only anticipated having around 50 or 60. So we've went over that. So I think we realize if we keep at this pace, then the game is going to expand to the point where, a common term in the development industry is scope creep, where, it just will end up with this MMO or something.
Yeah,
we didn't even end up, trying to make
subscription to ARK.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, hey, let's just finish this out. Let's end the game on a good note as far as having all the content that we wanted in, even more than we wanted in, and making sure that it's as smooth as possible for the people that are playing it. And that's why we felt like now was the time, because content-wise, we're there. Now it's about putting that polish on it, getting it smooth, and then now we can kind of take a little vacation for at least a day or 2.
Just want to give other people a chance to ask questions.
Have you guys considered maybe doing seasonal servers for the competitive group that likes survival of the fittest, but maybe something that's not so like one and done, maybe extends a week or a month?
Yeah, no, we have. We've been playing around with a lot of experimental servers. So we have the no-tame servers, we have the extension servers. We've been playing around with different types of servers, trying to figure out what the user base likes. So I fully expect that we will be experimenting with more of those types of servers, because we're really trying to figure out what game modes people are really gravitating towards. I mean, of course, you're always going to have your PvP, PvE, but what else out there do people like? And we thought, for example, hardcore mode would just be like, yeah, everybody's going to love hardcore mode. Opened up a ton of servers, and there's like 2 people.
The game's too hard for hardcore mode.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we always will experiment with different types of servers and different types of game modes and things like that. So you can fully expect to see that even as we launch, you'll still see different types of servers and different types of things pop up, because we like to experiment and we listen to our community, and a lot of the things that come out of that community are things like this, the no-tame servers. That isn't something we were just sitting around and said, oh, well, let's make a no-tame server. Like, that was something that the community really asked for. So you'll see more of that and more different types of servers and game modes and things like that. And people really love the idea of the extinction server, which is basically a server that eventually wipes over a certain amount of time. So you are starting over. It's almost like seasons, where you have season 1, okay, and then it wipes, and then you go to season 2, So I think we'll play around with more ideas like that, because honestly, it doesn't, it's not a ton of development time to do things like that. It just gives a different type of server to play around on. So definitely more things like that to experiment in the future.
Could be fun to do a PvE focused server as well that has time limits to reach certain milestones.
That would be cool. Actually, I might plug that to them, because we need more PvE. I feel like we need more PvE type things. I think PvP is fine on itself, because people just want to get on there and kill each other anyway. So you'll have a blast doing that. I think PvE is where we could benefit from having more varying things for people to do, more mini games or things like that. And honestly, that's why I think a lot of our mods have started focusing more on PvE type game things, because once you get in PvE, your challenges are pretty much get a stable of dinos, and you know, maybe do the dungeons and things like that. But I feel like if we can offer more, you know, engaging game modes or more engaging mechanics for people to do, I feel like, you know, we'll definitely retain a lot of those users and keep that a lot more healthier.
What's the next supported mod we should be excited for?
You know what, man? So we have the sponsored mod program, and that has, I think we're up to 12 mods in that program.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe 15. Maybe it's 15.
Yeah, it might be. So I would say that program in general are going to be the mods that you want to look out for. But if I had to choose one personally, in that, outside of course Ragnarok, I'm glad this actually came to light. I'm really looking forward to the ARK Moon Survival. So it's really just a take on, hey, let's take you off of the normal island, let's put you on the moon, let's put you out there with aliens and different resources.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool from what I've seen already, and they're really approaching it from a really grand, like they have custom character models, like they've done custom motion sequences. Like they're not just saying, hey, let's replace a couple things here and there. They're really rebuilding that from the ground up. And honestly, it'll be a huge testament to what you can do in the dev kit and things that you can do with ARK just by using the structure of it. So that's the one I'm really excited for, because I think it shows a lot of potential to show people like what you could do if you really wanted to. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And plus, it'd just be so different, you know, being on the moon versus, you know, being on an island or something like that. I think it'll be really cool. And you have like a space rover, so there's like a rover you can drive around. It's really cool. I really like the idea of it. So really looking forward to seeing that one develop a little bit.
Awesome. So you mentioned PvE. One thing that I think is really neat about ARK is that you guys actually have this really neat boss system, re-leveling thing. And most sandbox survival games are just basically about killing each other and building stuff. But you've mentioned, you know, when you have this on a PvP server, a lot of people are just killing each other. Have you noticed any significant differences as you start highlighting your PvE mode more, or are people basically on the PvP servers just killing each other?
Well, no, I think PvP is they're killing each other.
Yeah.
But what I will say is here's the thing. When we started introducing more of the lore and more of these explorer notes, and we started getting into the tech tier, and we started getting into more of the end game of ARK, people on PvP servers start to diversify a little bit, because a lot of what you need to progress to the end game and actually beat the final boss and things like that, you're going to have to do a lot of like cave runs and things like that. So it's forcing players to get outside of that normal, I just want to, you know, raid somebody's base and take all their stuff and kill all their dinos. So I feel like it is starting to expand a little bit more, and I think with this final patch that we put out, I think that people will shift a little bit more, because you'll finally start to put connections together on what the ARK is, why am I here, things like that. I think people will start to really get interested in that, and you're going to have to do different things. You can't just go raid people to get to the end game and figure out what that looks like. So I think that will also, you know, diversify the actions of people on PvP a little bit more as well.
But I mean, like, in the community, have you seen that? Like, have you, for example, like, frequented a fan site and noticed, like, oh, seems to be more people talking about teaming up rather than these guys came and killed me? Or
oh yeah, no, I'm starting to see that a lot more, especially since we introduced like cross ARK transfers. I feel like when that happened, you had a lot more people banding together, because now, as much as you are on the server, and before we did cross ARK server, it was like every man for himself on the server, or every tribe for themselves. I noticed when we did cross ARK, the server starts to band together. So now we're a team, and we have to defeat the outsiders. You can't let these people come in and destroy our bases. So it actually introduced a different mechanic to the game that we were really hoping it would do. We just didn't know if it would pan out that way, because there was a lot of fuss about that as well when we did cross ARK. A lot of people thought it would ruin the game, and I'll never play this again. You know, this is going to be the end of ARK. And honestly, I saw more people band together and more PvP be more team oriented than it was just like every tribe for himself. I'm just going to go raid and raid and raid. Now it's becoming, okay, hey, how do we make sure that we secure this server? how do we make sure that the outsiders don't come in and take all of our land? So I feel like the game mechanics are changing a bit in PvP. I mean, of course, you're still going to have your raids and that mentality going on, but I feel like it is starting to expand a little bit because people are opening their eyes and saying, okay, there's a little bit more gameplay behind this. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing it. Even when I go through the forums, survivetheark.com, you know, it's people looking to band together like, hey, you know, we have some people coming on our server, you know, let's make sure that we, you know, get them off of the server, things like that. It's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
It is, because I mean, like I said, we hoped that mechanic would evolve, but we were so unsure when we did cross ARK what would actually happen, because it could lead to different consequences as well, but luckily for us, it turned out to be a really positive thing. There's still probably tweaks that they're probably working on that will kind of tweak a little bit, little minute things about the way that it works, but I think overall it was a great system, and it forced your more standard PvP to become more team-based, and more people are banding together and fighting against larger teams, so I feel like that was such a smart move.
Don't mind me swimming.
Are you in a cave?
I flew down into a cave and tried to be cool, and I crashed into the water.
Do you have any updates about ARK Park?
So that's Snail.
Yeah, so that's one of our partners that's making that.
Okay.
That's say it, Snail. So I don't think we don't have anything.
Okay.
If you would like to be put in touch with Peter over there, I can definitely put you in touch with Peter
That'd be
Kane.
nice, yeah.
Yeah. So, because I don't know what that is. It looks a really cool concept.
No, I really want to see it.
Yeah.
And I know that Jesse was talking about this the other day. When
Yeah,
he was
I heard him talking about
and if we were going to do more VR for our game, and you know, he was saying that we don't plan on removing VR, the Oculus support that we have now, but it feels like VR is such a custom. You have to develop a custom experience for VR, and you know where we're at right now. It's just not feasible. So he was, you know, talking about ARK Park and how that would be a good VR experience. So glad you brought that up, because I actually want to look more into that as well. I want to see it, and I've seen little bits and pieces from it and what they've been working on, and it just.
And we're creatively helping on that. And
yeah,
Jesse
absolutely.
and Jeremy have been giving some feedback.
Yeah, they've been over there to their studios and done little demos and things like that. So it's been really cool to see that develop, and to see what they're able to do with some of the same things that we've had. So it's been really cool to see, and it'll be cool to have a VR experience. It's kind of like that Jurassic Park type.
Yeah.
I just want to go look at animals and just see them in front of me. I think that'll be really cool, and I think they have the perfect platform and kind of experience to do that with, versus ARK, where you have a huge open world. It's just not that platform to do that on in a really productive way. So I'm interested to see that come about. He's like, I got it.
Yeah,
he's like, I want
to
phase 2.
So what exactly made you guys want, what was the main reason to finally pull out of early access instead of, like, certain companies seem to just leave the game in it forever?
Well, I think it kind of spoke to this a little bit earlier, but I think, and Jesse spoke to it the other day, is that, you know, we realized that we had hit the core set of features that we wanted to target with this game.
That are actually still on the Steam page.
Yes,
Can
that
I
are
ask what
actually
those
still.
specific features were?
They're still on the Steam
They're
page.
still on the Steam
Okay.
page.
Yeah,
If you go to the
so-
Steam page,
okay.
it does not talk about tech tier or any of the stuff that's been more expanded upon.
Mhm.
It is all the beginning features
Okay,
of
okay.
ARK. So if you go there right now, it's right there.
Yeah, so I think once we hit that core set, I think it was like, let's get it ready, because we can do this forever. Of course, we can listen to community feedback, we can develop another 20 more dinosaurs, and we can be in an iterative process forever. But at that, we just realized that the content in the game is exactly, you know, where we want it to be, even more than we want it to be. So, you know, at that point, you just gotta say, hey, we've hit it, let's now fine tune it, polish it, and then let's get it out the door and keep
And to
working.
put it on a disc, I think that was the part. That's a pretty cool option. So we're coming
That was one thing
to.
I was kind of wondering if that was one of the reasons why you wanted to pull the trigger.
I think so. You know, like, I think that goes into it, and more Jesse is more of the mindset behind that. But I would say that yes, from what I've heard and from what I've seen from them, that was another reason. They were really particular about wanting people to have these discs and have these tangible things, and I definitely understand why. I think it adds to the experience. It adds to, you know, the consumer having that physical. You develop a different relationship with it, in my opinion, having that physical instead of that digital library.
And surprisingly, there's people that don't know about ARK.
Yeah.
Then we ran into
I don't
them.
know where they've been.
A couple here and there.
Console gamers.
Yeah.
Right, like
There
have
are
you
over
played games in the past
there are over
year?
9 million players of ARK already.
Yeah,
so
so it's
that's a pretty big.
Never heard about it?
Yeah, it is amazing how many people you trip over. And you're like at a party or something. Like, yeah, my son's playing, or yeah, I just saw that on Steam, and
Especially since there's not a lot of overlapping games in the Dino world. It's like
No, there's not.
it's pretty much the Dino game. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like you haven't heard of it.
Right.
But that was another reason. I know Jesse was talking about that as well. It's because he would be in Walmart or something. He would run into people that had never heard of the game, and like you want people to know about the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was such a particular thing that Jesse and Jeremy wanted. They wanted those physical copies. So I think that was another huge.
it's a huge audience that still loves playing on discs. So.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
And are waiting for that final
Yes.
game. We didn't want to participate in early access, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean that's not early access is not for everybody. Let's be honest. I mean it takes a person that's understanding of what early access is, and not everyone. People think they understand what early access is till they get into it, and they're like, "What? You're not supposed to have this bug? I lost my like."
Yeah.
That's the problem with early access. People just see like, oh, I can buy it. It's like it's not finished. What do you mean it's not finished? Like.
Hey, it's not finished. That huge disclaimer that you
it's
saw on the
really
page.
difficult because we don't buy other things like that. It's like you don't reserve a cake and then you're just like, here's half the cake now. It's like, where's the rest?
Yes.
We're still baking it.
Yeah. Like, oh no, you just get a piece.
Still baking it.
Yeah,
We're frosted
the
by
rest
the
later.
8th of August.
Yeah.
Or you could just have the cake. We'll have the frosting on later.
Yeah.
So no, I understand what you're saying. Like people typically don't buy in that nature, and I understand how it is hard for consumers to understand that they are still playing a game that's being developed, and there are downsides that come with that. It's unavoidable. It's the price of development. You're going to run into those things. I feel like we've done a good job at avoiding a lot of major pitfalls. We haven't had any major wipes, anything like that, which, when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh man, I'm going to lose all this progress. Like, why should I start playing it?
And that's a good one, actually. What is the final decision on the wipe?
There has not been a decision.
Still no decision?
No, there hasn't been a decision. I think as we get closer, and because a lot of it depends on a lot of the final tweaks that we're going to make, the optimization, all of that can change the way that the game plays and necessitate a need for a wipe. We just don't know yet. I think we'll know as we get closer to launch, and we'll definitely let people know, yay or nay, what's going to
Let's
happen.
follow up with an email because I feel like we're really close to having that decision, and I remember hearing it. Now I'm trying to remember. I thought Jeremy said it in an interview, but now that you're saying that, I'm thinking maybe it was just me.
I don't think he publicly.
Right, and I'd like to know. I think we're at a point we're getting real close to like saying what, and I think it was a good plan. So I'd like to, get a clear. Yes, I'll get you a clear answer. I think we have a clear answer, but let me email him and ask him for it to come from him.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I would prefer that. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't get Cedric in trouble. We like it. So.
Hey, Cedric, you can fly home by yourself.
On your own dime. Get out of here.
Right. Oh, is that it from everyone?
Did you have any questions?
Yeah, I think
he's probably
His questions come
Well, I have some questions.
Oh yeah, we have a streamer who really likes you guys. Well, a love-hate relationship. She's
I mean, that's like everybody in ARK, right?
I'm trying to remember. I think there was. When is it that you decide to keep building on a system? Something that maybe like the texture issue, people complain like, oh, you let us paint the dinosaurs, but like that system's already broken. How do you decide when you're going to add something and when you really need to fix the base system before going on?
I think, and Jesse and Jeremy went over this a little bit, we have a scorecard. So the scorecard they talked about, although it's not always like literally used, it's always, those thoughts and those questions are always being asked whenever we come up with a feature. So is it beneficial to new players? Is it beneficial to us shipping the game? I think at this point, a lot of what dictates how far we go into the system is really resources and the time. Now that we're getting close to shipping, you don't really have all that time to just kind of like, hey man, we just keep developing this for we have really finite times to do specific things. So I think at this point, it's more so about how it's been defined when we originally defined it, and a lot of times that's not always the case. We'll originally define something, then we'll add on. I think at this point, since we're getting close to ship, I know that the mentality is no scope creep. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not add anything that's going to take us outside of that August 8th date. So I think anything that you see from this point forward, that system, however we designed it, it won't necessarily be any add-ons. It'll be exactly how we designed it, and then we'll kind of go forward. Now, after launch, if we listen to feedback and consumers are saying, hey, we want you to do this, or it would be cool if we do this, then yes, we'll take a look at it. But I think before launch, it's mostly just eyes on the prize at this point. It's the August 8th date, and making sure everything right now isn't really about adding more. It's about refining.
Okay.
So it's about refinement now more than adding. So I think we're in that mode of just, hey, let's refine every system that we have. Let's make sure it's really clean, really smooth. And then after we launch, if we have the bandwidth and people are really requesting something, let's take another look at it. And then it'll be kind of similar to how we do ARK now, where we kind of just add on the systems and things like that.